Good day, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about aggregations. So, the word aggregation is being used in different contexts around inside Zap. Today's demo, I'm going to organize everything in one place, and hopefully by the end of this demo, you'll be able to understand the different aggregations and you'll be able to use them in your work. So we will start with ad hoc aggregations, that is the implicit one, the list count, and on demand. We will move to aggregation column, which is another kind of columns we support, and we will end up with aggregation mode, which is a different way to use a baseline. Okay, let's move to Insight. Let me create a new Insight. I will name it aggregation. I will use this today, the VA05N, the open SD, open sales order, and let me pick a display variant, selection variant, sorry. And that's it. So the first and most intuitive way to aggregate things is merely by selecting a few records together, and over here we will see the count, the number of records selected. If I do the very same thing with numerical value, the system is going to add, to total the values together. Note that in this case we are talking about currencies. So currently, since everything is with the same currency, euro, okay, the value is in euro. The same will apply if I will pick a records with dollars. The nice feature is if you select a few records, one with euro and one with dollar, the system will convert everything into the default currency of the user, resulting in one value based on the conversion rate of your system, of the currency table. Okay, the last thing is the list count. So I can just apply it, and it will show me all the information about this Insight. These are the number of records, and nothing is filtered out. If I will select a column, the list will tell me the same thing about this column, and if I will use the list with aggregations, I'll be able to get the minimum number, the minimum date, in this case date, and the maximum. Okay, so this is per the ad hoc aggregation. Next, let's move to create a new column kind of type aggregation. For this demonstration, I'm going to group to aggregate the net value based on sold to party, the customer. Let me first sort this column. Okay, and now I'm going to create a new column. And I'm going to aggregate the net WR, the net value. New aggregation, which is the field I like to aggregate. Net value. Okay. Note that in case of numerical values, the aggregations, the aggregation options could be enhanced, and I can use now sum. Okay, and this is where I group the information by which value, by which affinity field this field is going to be aggregated. In our case, it's supposed to be the sold to party, Kundenar. Okay. So you can see that the information was aggregated, and for the customer 470, okay, this is the total of the open orders, okay. But in this case the system doesn't aggregate information, okay. You may check the log to see the reason, and the reason is that the data records contains different currencies, okay. To fix that, we may modify the aggregated field, and we may add the currency as a grouping field. Let me do that just now. There you go. So now all the open sales order for this customer in euro is for 400,000 euros and change, and in US dollars this is a different number. The important thing is to understand that now we have a field at the record number that actually knows something about other records based on the affinity, based on the grouping mechanism, not grouping, the name, based on the aggregated field, sold to party and currency. This is important. So next thing is to move to a whole different topic related to aggregation, which is the aggregation mode. So let me switch back to the presentation. This is to remind you about the implicit, the list count, and on demand. But now we would like to talk about the aggregation mode. So the aggregation mode answers a far more profound business use case, which is the granularity of the baseline. Okay, in many cases, the access of information in the report, in the original report, prevents us to see the forest from the trees, so to say. Okay, in our case, VA05N, that's an amazing sales and distribution report. But the records, the sales orders, prevent us to see the information we are interested in, which is the customer, the sold to party. So the aggregation mode allows us to change the granularity of the report by setting up keys. In this case, column A and column B were defined as keys, and as soon as we do that, Inside will aggregate all the records with the same key into a single record. Okay, now the question is, what about the other columns in the layout? So now you can either leave them as they were, you can remove them, or you can use an aggregated value. In our case, in VA05N, the net value could be aggregated, could be summed together to the total, and the document date could use the maximum value, which is the last document date or whatever. Okay. Last thing is, we are not losing the information we aggregated, the sales order themselves. We can easily expand and see the aggregated data. So let's go back to the system. Let me get out and create a whole new insight. Aggregation mode. I will use the same transaction and the same selection variant, but in this case I'm going to check the aggregation mode checkbox. Let me open the new insight. So now I would like to aggregate the information by the sold to party. Okay, so to do so, I will open the set key. I will look for the field sold to party. Here it is, and that's it. As soon as I do that, you can see that I have only one record per sold to party. Okay, let me take this field at the very beginning of this report. Okay, so where are all the records gone? They didn't. Okay, if I like to expand all the information, I can press this button, expand aggregated data, and there you go. These are the list of all sales order belong to this sold to party. I can do that with one or several records. But as usual, we provide you with some nice feature. We call it small gift, which is a new field in the layout reserved for aggregation mode only. It's called number of data records. Let me bring it and move it to the beginning of the layout. And now you can see the number of records and a quick navigation to that list. So instead of one long report, we have aggregated one, and we can navigate easily to the list of aggregated data. Now the question is, as explained, what should we do with all other information? In this case, the net value. This is the net value of arbitrary record in the list of sales order. If I like to aggregate it, I should do something like that, setting aggregation layout, and over here I will mark it and set it as a summarized column. I will save my work and I will go back, and as soon as I do that, I have this number 50,000 something. Let me show you that this is really the number I'm expecting. Okay, so give or take, we have 3 layouts. This is the layout of the main report. Let's call it main or aggregated. Okay, I will leave this one as a default for this view. Let me navigate to the internal one. Let me add this sum and save this layout as well. I'm going to call it detailed. And this is going to be the default as well. So we have two different layouts: the aggregated information layout and the details. Okay, and they are different altogether. Okay, and we have the third one, which is the layout of the aggregated data. So in this case, created on, I can sort it descending. And now if I'll bring this information, what was it? I cannot remember. Give me a second. I cannot remember what I did, but it should be the last date. So if I will save a date as well, so you can see that May 17 was the latest date, and it is over here. That's it for today. If you have more questions or anything, do not hesitate to send us your questions. Thank you very much. Bye bye.